Let's get into the fun part of updating and setting up our fields and our form conditions. Let's say we've got a list of questions here. For example, underneath my intake questions, I've got property questions and contract questions. Each one of these questions might have additional questions that I need to ask. For example, I have a field here that's called, will there be an inspection? I have this field required and showing up on that intake form. And I have that answer coming onto that particular property. So when they answer this, either yes or no, that answer is going to come onto my property by making sure that these buttons are both selected. Scrolling up to the top, if we needed to add on additional fields when that agent has answered yes or no to any of the intake questions here or any other fields that I have on my intake form, what I'm going to want to navigate to is my form conditions. Your form conditions are used to dynamically add fields, to add contact roles, documents. It can also add internal instructions for the user if those conditions have been met. What I want you guys to do to start out, if you're editing or customizing the intake forms that you already have in your account, is to get familiar with the form conditions that you currently have built out. Here you can see the list of form conditions that I have currently. What we're going to want to do is on this right-hand side, we'll select Condition Action Map. What this is going to do is it's going to open up those conditions for us. It'll be a little bit easier for us to scroll through, see if we've got any errors with our conditions that we need to correct, and what these conditions do. For example, our first condition on this list says, will there be an appraisal? If it's equal to yes, then we need to bring on the appraisal conditions and the appraisal due days. You can also see that I've required that appraisal due days to be filled out. What this means is that when they fill out that intake form and they answer that appraisal due days as yes, we're going to see these two fields populate as well. Scrolling down, I definitely suggest going through and reviewing, okay, what's the next one? Will there be an inspection equal to yes? Brings on what type of inspections are we doing? And it brings on that inspection period days. Is there an alarm? If it's equal to yes, then it brings on the alarm code. Go through these and see, what does this bring on? If I meet these conditions, what should it bring on as well? Here's an example of one that brings on not only fields, but it also adds on a contact role. So if we say that there is a loan and it's equal to yes, we need to know the loan application date and the approval date. We also need to know who the lender is. Continuing to scroll down, you might see some other options that have documents associated with it or just more fields. Just depends on what you have. Once you've reviewed this area, we're going to go ahead and go back to our condition editor. It's going to take us back to this screen. You might find yourself adding in more fields. I'm going to go ahead and go to my fields really quickly. Let's go ahead and review our intake questions really quickly. I've got this question here. Is there an HOA? Let's say I needed to ask more details. What I'm going to want to do from here is I can see, okay, is there an HOA? I need to ask for more questions. I need to ask, what's the frequency and the due days for that HOA documents? I'll go ahead and select form condition. I'll select add condition. Here's going to ask for our conditional type. We're only going to have the ability to say property field. So when a property field has been updated on the intake form, what happens next? Here I'm going to select. If you notice at the top, it's only going to show us choice fields because we either need a yes, no, or an option selected. I'm going to look for that HOA question by just typing in HOA. Here underneath property questions, I see, is there an HOA? That's the field I wanted to identify. We'll go ahead and select that. Here for our operation, we're going to want to say equal to. It's always going to be equal to in our form conditions. Here we'll select the value and say yes. Now we have the structure of this form condition built out. We have it saying that, is there an HOA equal to yes? What do we want to happen next? We'll go ahead and say add, and we'll go ahead and close out of this screen. At the top of our form conditions, we're going to see that condition that we just added in here. We're going to go ahead and select Edit Actions, and it's going to open up a right-hand panel for us. On this right-hand panel, we're going to be able to select the fields that we need to bring on. So is there an HOA equal to yes? Well, I know I need, what is the HOA due days in my case? I might need, what's the dues or fee amount? I might also ask for the website or the payment frequency if I need to. We'll go ahead and say website and say add. Let's say I needed to add on some more contact roles. I can click on contact role, type in HOA, and select my HOA contact and select add. Below that, if I needed to bring on a specific document, I could say HOA addendum and say add. The way this works is that when that agent says, yes, there is an HOA, it's going to bring on these two fields. It's going to populate that contact and ask for that contact information. It's also going to ask that agent to upload that document. Whatever you are reviewing this area, I want you to think, okay, what would the agent have on hand that they could provide to me? Will they always have that contact? If they do, we can make this field required. If they don't, we're going to want to make sure that that's unrequired. That way we don't stop that agent or that person who's filling out that intake form from completing the intake form. If we scroll up, I'd probably want to make sure that my due days at least were selected. That way we can make sure that we have that date populate correctly when that intake form is submitted. Scrolling down to the very bottom, we can also add on internal instructions. Maybe we know that we need to reach out and get that HOA contact instead of requiring it as a contact role here. We can go ahead and delete that particular contact role. And then here we can say reach out for HOA contact and say add. What this is going to do is it's going to create an internal instruction for our internal users to see so they know, oh, I have to reach out for that HOA contact. You can type in whatever kinds of instructions that you might need from here. We've got ones that'll say HOA contact, HOA rep for documentation. Maybe we need to verify attorney for conditions. Maybe we need to confirm that the HOA document has been filed, right? So we can add on any number of instructions here. I'm going to go ahead and scroll to the top and say close. And that's how we've built out that form condition. If we click on condition action map, you're going to see that condition action map for this particular form condition right here. We'll go ahead and say back to condition. And that's the end of that.